Hi guys, welcome back to Lexalexus. Today we're predicting the championship yet again. We've made it to week 6. As always guys, I like to always hear your score predictions as well, just for a little bit of fun, in the comments down below. And if you do predict some of the championship games, you have a chance to score some points on the Lexalexus Football Prediction League. If you look at my latest community post, I've actually predicted, or actually have shown, the first standings of the Prediction League. So we've got some really strong competition now, and I've certainly got some work to do. I think my predictions last weekend weren't terrible, but they still weren't quite there. I really need to be doing something different, I think, and I'm certainly going to be a bit brave with these predictions this week. The subscriber getting the shout out today is Danny. Nice and simple. Danny, you'll be getting the shout out, and if anyone does subscribe to the channel, it's likely that your name will be read out in the next video. As always guys, if you're going to enjoy the video, please like, share and subscribe. All of that is free to do, and it really does help the growth of this channel. Let's go for 25 likes. That'll be absolutely amazing. Without any further ado, let's start predicting week 6 in the championship. Start things off with tomorrow's game, which sees Middlesbrough going up against West Brom. I've been really impressed with both of these teams in the build-up to this game, and I both incorrectly predicted their outcomes. So Middlesbrough, I predicted them to lose against Preston due to the fact that they have a poor record there. They didn't manage to win, so their 100% start does end against Preston. But they did pick up a late equaliser. As scrappy as it was, I was really impressed with the mentality of Middlesbrough to come back from behind twice to still get something out of this game. So I'm really liking the mentality that Rob Edwards is putting into this side, and he's clearly knowing what he's doing with his substitutions. West Brom, it was a bit of a surprising performance. So I actually predicted a 1-1 draw, a draw between them and Derby due to West Brom having a poor record against Derby. But a draw wasn't enough. It was actually Derby that did pick up all 3 points. I'm really not threatening that much at all, but Andy Weimann, right in the last 10 minutes of the game, picks up the only goal in the game, and it's a bit of a blow for West Brom since they held a lot of the ball but just weren't threatening with it. Now here, I think this is going to be very close. I've been a big fan of both of these sides going into this game. Prediction, it's tough. I know West Brom don't have the best of records at the Riverside, but I think both teams are capable of causing the other team problems. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw actually. I think it will end with the scores as level, but it's a tough one. I was thinking Middlesbrough, but I think just based on the quality of both, I'm going to sit on the fence and cancel out with a draw. Next up on the Saturday games, we've got Birmingham going up against Swansea. Now, it does feel a little bit ridiculous that Swansea have to play in the early Saturday games, considering they only just now have played Nottingham Forest in the Carabao Cup, and not only have played them, have beaten them. They have upsetted the Premier League club by beating them by 3-2, 2 stoppage time goals. Vipotnik, and what a volley by Cameron Burgess, by the way. I mean, Ipswich fans could be as sad as what they want for the fact that he's doing so well there at Swansea, but what a hit, and he was the hero that really limped Swansea over the line in that game as well, and a really good standout performance from Galbraith. There was a lot of fans really liking what he was doing there as well. So Swansea have got a really decent team going on, and they are currently higher in the table than what Birmingham are showing for in the moment. Now, it's kind of a disappointing result for both in the Championship quite recently. So Swansea drew against Hull, and I certainly felt that that game should have been more comfortable, but they kind of allowed Hull to get back into it, and in the end, a late equaliser meant that they lost 2 points. Birmingham, it is another defeat for them. In fact, it's back-to-back defeats now in the Championship for Birmingham since they lost to Stoke and didn't really create a whole lot in that game. With the attacking quality that they have been quite disappointing going forward so far. However, I have felt in their home games, Birmingham have been quite substantially better than they have been on the road so far. And they have played some pretty tough teams for their home games as well. I think here this is another tough game. But I think for what is possible here. A draw would not surprise me based on how both are performing at the moment. But I think this could be a good turning point for Birmingham. I think this is a good opportunity for them. If things can go well and if they can score early, then I think Birmingham could get some control here. I'm going to go, put my neck on the line and back Birmingham here for a 2-1 victory. I think it will be tight, but I think with Birmingham being at home might just edge past the Swans here. Next up, we've got a bit of a local derby here. Leicester versus Coventry. Now, there was some fireworks last time they played against each other 2 years ago in the Championship. And I am certainly hoping we're going to see more of the same here. And I can understand with Coventry fans being a little bit nervous here in this game. Leicester at home have picked up a 100% record so far and have looked really good in their last home game against Birmingham, a team that most people are considering that they will be right up there in the Championship. Coventry obviously drew against Norwich. Don't know how they did with the XG that they produced. It was very much justice for them to get at least 1 point from that game. And is that going to be a cause of concern going into this game? It will be if they can't take their chances. What we've seen with Leicester is that even if they don't necessarily play at their best most of the time, they have got the attacking players that can destroy any Championship team on their day. Vitaru especially, I've been a big fan of going into this game. Oh, now a prediction. Honestly, I am favouring Leicester a little bit more based on the options they've got going forward. But with this being a derby, I just see either a damp squid and we see no goals, or we're going to see a flurry of goals. And I'm going to opt for the flurry of goals because that's the one I want to see. I'm going to go for Leicester 3, Coventry 3. I don't predict 3-3 draws often, but I just have a very sneaky feeling this game could be bonkers, like a last minute equaliser from one of them to get the 6th goal in the game. I hope it's going to turn up and it won't end up as a 0-0 draw, but you know, this kind of me going for what my heart wants it to be rather than what my head wants to be. So yeah, I'll go for a high scoring draw in this game. Let me know what you think in the comments. The last one of the Saturday game sees Queen's Park Rangers going up against Stoke. Both picked up a really good win last time around. Queen's Park Rangers were involved in a 3-1 away win against Wrexham. What a goal, by the way, by Richard Kone for his own development there. I mean, Queen's Park Rangers did really well. They had a little bit of pressure when Kiefer Moore got it back to 2-1. I actually predicted a 2-2 draw. So I did correctly predict there'll be 4 goals in that game. And very much the 4th goal was really going to determine whether Wrexham could walk away with something or whether it was going to be Queen's Park Rangers taking all 3 points. And I actually did say in my predictions that I think it's going to be Queen's Park Rangers getting the lead and it's going to be down to Wrexham to try and catch up. Kind of got it, but then obviously the 3rd goal for Queen's Park Rangers ended my genius predictions in that point of view. And it raises more concerns for Wrexham, which I'll allude to soon. But for Queen's Park Rangers' point of view, the fact that's back-to-back wins, that's, you know, now looking pretty promising now for their season. But for Stoke's point of view, they were given a very tough game against Birmingham, which I didn't see them beating them. I predicted a draw, but they got the win. And again, they actually did really well to nullify a really promising Birmingham side. So I've been so impressed with the combination of the new signings and the cohesiveness between them with the new manager too. So I'm really pleased that Stoke have actually started well. They actually could have a really good Championship season finally since getting relegated from the Premier League nearly 8 years ago now. So it feels refreshing to see Stoke doing well now. But here's a prediction. This is tough. I really see Queen's Park Rangers improving in their form. They're scoring more goals. But Stoke are very tricky customers and they have been pretty versatile in the way that they've been able to take teams down. I'm going to edge, I think, Stoke. I think just on the momentum. I'm going to go for a 2-1 away victory to Stoke. It really could go either way, by the way. So I wouldn't be surprised if Queen's Park Rangers win this by 2-1. But I'm just favouring Stoke a little bit. I think they've just got a couple more ways that they can get a result for their benefit. So I'm going to go for an away win. So the first of the 3 o'clock sees Blackburn going up against Ipswich Town. Okay, both teams picked up a win last time around and probably both, I mean, not a shock for Ipswich, but it was a shock to me because I just did not see them winning anytime soon. But I'll praise Blackburn first because I thought it was a brilliant performance against Watford. I did not back them. In fact, not many people did back Blackburn for a win. I think with the off-the-field problems and the transfer activity, we just assumed that Blackburn could struggle, but they've got this mindset that when things go against them, they just find a way around it. Ipswich showed their quality, I mean, against a very poor Sheffield United side, where especially when it got to 2-0, really down tools and gave up. I watched it with my family, and we all agreed some of the defending we saw from Sheffield United was criminal, and you would be criticising if you saw a League 2 team see some of the defensive mistakes they were making. The third goal, and especially the fifth goal, just really poor and just lazy, not anticipating the runs made by the strikers. And what a performance, by the way, by Jayden Philogene. I mean, I've been a big fan of Philogene ever since I saw him in Hull and glimpses of him in Aston Villa. I think he's got to be one that's got to start most games now. He has really shown me that he had just had a bit of bravery, because Ipswich were quite passive at the start, but then he went on a really good run, and whilst the ball fell very kindly to him with the first goal, the fact that he was driving forward and putting the Sheffield United team under some pressure, that's what's been missing, just this drive to try and stretch defences. And I fear a bit in this game it's going to be very tight again. I think a lot of teams now have realised that if you can sit back, you can nullify this Ipswich side, and I think hitting them on the break, they do look quite susceptible to conceding too many chances from that. So honestly, I feel like I could back against Ipswich again, but I've not predicted an Ipswich win yet, which is crazy from me. I think I'm going to do it this time. I could see them, and I've seen enough there with that Sheffield United win, that if they can just stay in the game and have the patience, I think they could get a result. I'm going to go for a 1-0 away victory to Ipswich though. I do not see many goals in this game. I think it definitely would have been better if Ipswich played them a little bit earlier, but I think as of right now, I see this being level for a lot of it, and just a moment of quality, I think will take the game away from Blackburn into Ipswich's favour. Next up, we see Derby going up against Preston. Both teams didn't lose last game, so arguably a good result, but it was certainly a better result for Derby as they pick up a win against West Brom. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think that is their first win of the season, because they were meandering around near the bottom three, but that win from last weekend has projected them quite a fair bit. And we have started to see that when players have been returning from international duty or injury, Derby do look so much more better. They've got more depth now, and actually defensively they've looked so much better too. And that's something I've poorly misjudged when I did my predicting the championship table up to the next international break video, that I wasn't considering the strength and depth that Derby do have when their players do return from injury. So it was inevitable with the amount of players out they were going to start so, and I think their last three performances especially have shown some really positive signs for Derby. So they, I think, have got some good momentum. Preston are continuing on their way with a really good season, with a brilliant draw against Middlesbrough. They're the one team who can say that they've stopped Middlesbrough's perfect winning run at this moment of time, and did really well actually to lead twice in that game, but defensively were, I think, a little bit disappointing with the two goals that Middlesbrough scored. Now, away from home, I've not been keen on Preston so far. They drew against Queen's Park Rangers and lost against Portsmouth. So I do see an away form being a weakness for Preston, and I think with the way that Derby are playing, I think I'm going to edge them. As a prediction, I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to Derby. I see this one being a very good classic John Eustace performance, defensively being really good and relying on some brilliant quality from the likes of Morris and anyone else, Vyman, who could step up and pop by with a goal. Next up, we see Hull going up against Southampton. Both sides picking up a draw last weekend, and certainly one left me a little bit excited and one left me a little bit cold. So Hull, they fought back, to be fair, against a good Swansea side to draw 2-2. I don't think many of us saw that type of scoreline happening. It made sense with Hull scoring plenty and conceding loads, but I think against a really good Swansea side, I just don't think we were expecting Hull to find a way to get something, but they did. So fair play to them. I've been quite impressed with them going forward, but defensively, yeah, that's less to be desired. Now, when it comes to Southampton, this is an interesting situation. They've still only won one game since the opening game of the season, so they've been winless now in their last 4 matches. This, I think, is a very important game for Southampton to see if they can bounce back and see if they can start climbing back up the table, but the signs there are showing me that just something's not quite clicking, and it could really be down to the squad just not being fully settled yet. There has been lots of chopping and changing in terms of the transfer window, so naturally that's going to take time, and we're still also relatively new to English football too. Just lots of things I think will take time, and I think Southampton will eventually come good. I think it's just going to be a patience thing here. But as a prediction, I think Hull could actually give a game to Southampton here. I'm going to go for a high-scoring 2-2 draw, actually. Both sides have been involved in a 2-2 draw already this season, and I think both have the capability of playing one out here. Let me know what you think in the comments. Next up is Norwich versus Wrexham. So, Norwich, they were involved in a 1-1 draw with Coventry, got the lead. I mean, I'm really pleased for Garden and the fact that he got his first Norwich Championship goal, so his goal tally's up and running now, so that's the one positive I'll take from Norwich. But for the rest of the game, they sat back, giving Coventry loads of respect actually, and yeah, they eventually got their defence breached a bit devastatingly that they were this close of picking up all 3 points. I think I actually did predict a Norwich win due to the fact that Coventry do have a very poor record against Norwich, so that result did nearly happen in the end. So Coventry persevered, and unfortunately for Norwich, they just weren't strong enough to hold Coventry at bay. But they're playing against a Wrexham team I would say that is low on confidence at the moment of time. They just not finding something good with their home games at the moment. They've only picked up 1 point at home, and they've played a couple of times at home already and have not shown nearly enough encouraging signs that they would have had. And I could see the pressure mounting on Phil Parkinson if he cannot turn those results into wins as soon as possible. Away from home, I think Wrexham have actually been a little bit better, which I think has been more or less due to how Parkinson sets up his teams away from home to be pretty defensive overall. However, with Norwich, whilst they have not started well at home at all, I think this is the perfect opportunity to get their home form up and running here. Prediction, I gotta say, with Wrexham being really slack defensively, but also pretty free scoring, I'll back for a high scoring both teams to score, and I'm going to go for a 4-1 victory to Norwich. If things click with Sargent and Garden, they really could score probably up to 2 goals each. So I'm going to go for a high scoring 4-1 win to Norwich. Next up, we see Portsmouth take on Sheffield Wednesday. So Sheffield Wednesday have been involved in Carabao Cup action against Grimsby, and they did lose out to the League 2 outfits, spelling an end to their Carabao Cup campaign. I would say in other seasons that's quite an embarrassing result for them, but because the circumstances are so dire for Sheffield Wednesday, I think either result either way is not massively surprising. And the fact of the matter is, it could be a positive. It could mean that Sheffield Wednesday aren't going to be distracted from cup competitions. Their squad is so thin as it is, and it is already looking pretty bleak with their survival chances. But basically, the Portsmouth side, who are looking very, very strong this season. They got a draw against their local rivals Southampton. I've got to say, I think they were the more likely team to score based on the chances that they had across the 90 minutes too. So still lots of positive for Portsmouth to take, and I think at home they have been good most of the time. Did lose against Norwich, but they backed that up with a win against Preston. And I think here, with Sheffield Wednesday having a thin squad, actually playing in midweek, they're not going to be as fresh. Portsmouth would have had a week. off to prepare for this. I think this could get quite ugly here. As a prediction, I'm going to go for a 3-0 victory to Portsmouth. That's back-to-back 3-0 defeats to Sheffield Wednesday. I just don't see them at the moment laying a glove on many sides, unfortunately, and it's really not their fault at all. It's the situation that their owner, Shansiri, has left them in. So I just deeply sympathise for any Sheffield Wednesday viewers watching and Sheffield Wednesday as a whole. But I am going to go for a really good 3 points for Portsmouth, which could push them in around a playoff place. Let me know what you think in the comments. Next up is Sheffield United and Charlton. If I wasn't so busy from work, I would have done a video on Sheffield United because they have been through the rains. So, wow. Sellers was dismissed after their defeat against Ipswich. I did have a feeling with the manner of the defeat, the fact it got to 5, the performances from the players being way below par, it did feel like an inevitable end. And I think it's actually the record time for a new manager in the Championship of getting dismissed. So, an unwanted record, unfortunately, from Ruben Sellers there. But Chris Wilder makes a sensational return. I mean, it is egg on the ownership's face in that point of view. Really embarrassing turn of events for them to having to reappoint the person they fired over the pre-season to this season. I think for the fact of the matter is he is a Sheffield United fan. He'll hate to see how they're performing at the moment, and he will want Sheffield United to get back to winning ways. He certainly would not want to spend another million of being below Sheffield Wednesday. But they're facing the Charlton side, who can be tricky customers. Defensively, they've been relatively solid, I think, from the exception of the Queen's Park Rangers game. And I think against Millwall, they did look the more likely team to pick up all 3 points, but then just a moment of madness from Ramsey getting that red card eventually just invited Millwall to grow into the game and for them to get back into it. So I do sense here Sheffield United probably would have been underdogs going into this game right at the start, but now Chris Wilder's come in, which I think he's come into a very decent run for Sheffield United here. I think he can start propelling them up the table. As a prediction, I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory to Sheffield United. I think for him, it'll be normal business resumed, get a win for Sheffield United and move to the next game. Now onto our Sunday game for this weekend. It is Bristol City against Oxford. Two sides in opposite sides of the table. Bristol City are third top. Oxford are third bottom. So literally direct opposites actually in terms of their positions. I have been so impressed with Bristol City. Now, I know their last result against Sheffield Wednesday might not mean a lot, but I do think with the way that Gerard Struber has made this Bristol City side so efficient going forward, so clinical, I have been really impressed with this Bristol City side at this point. I like to say it's one of their best starts they've had in recent championship history. They could easily carry that on here against an Oxford side who are still looking for their first win. I will say, performances-wise going forward, they're looking better. They've actually been involved in 2-2 draws in their last 2 games. I think the disappointment for Oxford is the fact that they did have a numerical advantage against Leicester for most of the game and actually conceded a lead. They were leading 2-1 at half time for the game to end 2-2, which is kind of giving me the sense that defensively they're not quite strong throughout for most of the game, and it does feel to me that they just lack that killer instinct to kill teams off at this moment of time. This is a tough game against a Bristol City side who have started really well this season. Yeah, I feel like at this moment, with just how the form book's going, I think I've got to back Bristol City as a prediction. I'm going to go for a 3-1 victory to Bristol City. I'll give Oxford a goal for how well they're doing going forward at the moment, but I think Bristol City will still find the ball in the back of the net efficiently because they've been doing so well this season. So yeah, I'm going to go for a Bristol City win. And the last game to predict is a Monday game. We've not had many Monday games this season. In fact, I can't recall ones. This could be the first Monday game we've had. It is Millwall going up against Watford. Millwall were involved in a draw last time around against Charlton, of course. I don't think they were at their blistering best. And the thing is with Millwall, they were involved in Carabao Cup action recently. They actually went all the way to penalties against Crystal Palace. They did fall behind, but they did get a late equaliser to make things very, very interesting. At home, I've not been too impressed with Millwall so far this season. Watford can be a team that could hurt this Millwall side, but they definitely need to up their game. They were pretty poor against Blackburn last time around, but I think likewise with Millwall, they're having players who needed, time off to recover from the international break. I can see both of these sides putting a much more stronger team going into this game, especially with a longer recovery from Millwall from their Carabao Cup game to that Monday game. I mean, that's certainly not fair for Swansea's point of view. But I think, here it's a tough one. I could see either one of them winning it. And I think as a result of that, I'm going to sit on the fence. And I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I'm just not really seeing either one of these sides screaming out at me that they're going to win the game outright. So I'll sit on the fence and end this weekend's predictions with a draw. So as always, guys, that wraps it up for today's video. To remind you, you can leave your score predictions in the comments down below if you do want to get involved in the Lexalexus Football Prediction League. If you agree or disagree with any of my predictions, do let me know in the comments down below. I will be very interested to hear your views as well. And as always, guys, please be respectful to each other. This is only just for a little bit of fun. And if I don't predict your team to win, I don't hate any of your teams. It's just my thoughts going into their weekend. Anyway, that's everything I need to say. If you guys enjoyed, please like, subscribe and share. It really does help the growth of this channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary for joining this video. And as always, I'll see you guys soon. Take care, everyone.